What's going on, YouTube? In this video, I'm going to show you how to put this toilet in. I'm going to go over all the tools you're going to need and all the materials I think you're going to need, along with a few extra things, just so hopefully you only got to do one trip to the hardware store. But right now, let me finish drinking some of my coffee and get changed out of these clothes because I'm in sweatpants and my slippers, and maybe I'll put a hat on so my bald head doesn't blind you. All right, I'm back. I got some pants on, a work shirt on, and I have knee pads in my pants. So you might actually want some knee pads maybe. And I got my hat on. Hopefully I can keep this on so I don't blind you from my bald head. All right, now I'm gonna go over some of the tools you're gonna need, and I'm gonna go over everything that I bought. You may not need all this stuff, but this is just to try to get you ready in case you go to the store and you wanna buy extra stuff. Like I definitely bought extra stuff because I'm gonna show you guys. And then if I don't need it, I'm going to take it back to the store. All right, let's go over some of the tools and supplies you're going to need. You're going to need some silicone, 100% silicone, maybe a level, a wrench. I'm using a 1/2 inch wrench. I would think maybe they're all the same size. Maybe some hearing protection, a little marker, a utility knife. My thrower is not very good. A screwdriver, flat tip screwdriver, a small little plastic container, preferably one that's flat on the side. I'm not going to be able to use this, but you might be able to. A tape measure, some painter's tape, maybe some gloves, unless you're really tough and you don't care to put your hand in a dirty toilet. An old rag. All right, and some more tools you're going to need maybe. A hacksaw or a grinder with a cutoff wheel, or you could maybe even use a Dremel with a cutoff wheel. I'm probably going to end up using both. You'll see what I use them on. And some channel lock pliers. And you're going to need something for your caulk, unless you can buy silicone in just small little like handheld ones where you just squeeze it on, and you won't need this big one. It actually might work easier because you'll be able to put it behind the toilet easier. But I've already used this a little bit, so I'm going to try to use this. And a bucket with a sponge. Or like I said, you could maybe use a towel, but mainly that towel is going to be to block off some of the sewer gases. And some eye protection. All right, that's some of the tools you're going to need. Now I'm going to show you some of the parts that I have bought. All right, I bought a new valve. I don't know if I'm going to use this valve, but I did buy a new valve. And this is the valve I would recommend buying if you want to replace your valve. You're going to need a 1/2 inch by 3/8 inch. At least that's standard. And I just bought a shark bite valve. Nice thing with a shark bite valve is you don't have to do no gluing, no soldering, no nothing. This will go on PVC or copper, and it just pushes right on. You just read the directions on the back. I don't know if I'm even going to use this. You're going to need, I would suggest if you're changing your toilet out, to just get a new water line. Make sure it's long enough, because my water line comes from my floor right up to the bottom of my tank. So I bought a longer water line. Plus the new toilet I got sits higher. And even if your toilet comes with a wax ring, I would recommend buying a brand new one. Because the ones that come with them, I think sometimes they're junk. And you might need these. I'll show you what these are for. These are called spacers, just in case your toilet flange is not lined up correctly or it's too low. And I would recommend buy a new set of the bolts for the toilet, and I recommend getting brass ones, solid brass. Some of them look like they're brass, but they're not solid brass. These will a lot less likely start rusting off. And then this little cover here will be for my water line to replace that. Well, I know I need that. You'll see mine later. And that was why I bought this new valve, because I thought maybe I would change that. But I'm going to just try to cut this off and put a new one on. And you might need some toilet shims. I will show you what they're for too. And then I got the new toilet. And this is the reason I'm changing my toilet, is because I have problems flushing my toilet and it gets clogged all the time. Maybe from my little guy, he seems to freaking take a poop like a racehorse all the time, and he fills that sucker up. Well, this one, if you notice, has 2 holes. So when it flushes, twice the amount of water goes down. I'm hoping that's going to fix my problem. So I'll put a link down to this in the description if you just want to check this out. Or just go to Lowe's, that's where I bought this. It's called a American Standard Vormax. And make sure, which my toilet did come with a new toilet seat, so I'm going to use that one for a while. And I know this toilet came with some of them parts, but like I said, I think some of the ones that come with it are junk. It's probably worth it just to spend a couple dollars more and buy real good stuff. I don't feel like doing this again in 2 years. All right, before you start this project, I recommend you measure from your wall to this bolt. You want this to be 12 inches. Mine is actually 13 inches because somebody put this in a little wrong, but that's better than it being 11 or 10 inches. 12 inches, now if you put it there, not counting, you have to add this in from where your trim's at. Go right from the wall to there. If that is shorter than 12 inches, you might want to let your hardware store know, because you can still get a toilet, but you might have to special order one, or you might only have, say, one to pick out. So let's hope that's 12 inches, or like mine is a little more. All right, next step is to turn off your water. So right after you turn it off, flush your toilet. Good thing for me, my toilet is not filling back up. Okay, no, it's not filling back up. Make sure you get all that water out that you can get out. So I got all the water out of my tank as much as I can. And now that's why you have that sponge, to try to get the rest of it out. Now if that water would start filling back up after you shut this valve, you got a little problem. You may have to replace your valve. So then you're going to have to find your water shut off down in your basement and shut that water off, and you're going to have to replace this valve. But see, I think my valve is good. I just want to replace this gross thing. I think my kids peed on it too many times. You can hold that handle up as you try to suck some of this out, because then some of it will just go in the toilet. Now you can carry this out with all that water in if you want, but you're probably going to get water all over the place. All right, that's pretty good. All right, next thing you're going to want to do is take off your water line. Now I'm probably going to get some water down here. So this is where you would want to maybe use your container to put your container under your water line, because sometimes they come out of the wall. Mine comes out of the floor, so I'm just going to probably get a little water here, and I'll have to soak it up with this towel. All right. Too much water. Next thing is take off the bolts to your tank. That's all right. Might need your screwdriver. I got some of my tools in my tub, but if you do that, put a towel or something in there. You don't want to scratch your tub off. Okay, that's not coming off. All right, change of plans, because they're not coming off very easy. I got the back one off. If you can get all 3 ears off, go ahead and take them off. Or you can use a hacksaw to cut them off. But me, I'm just going to leave them on. You really don't have to. I was just taking them off mainly because it's easier to take the toilet out with them off. I am going to just leave this tank on for now and carry it out. Let's go on to the next step. So if you can take them off, it's going to be easy. Then pick your tank up and take your tank out. If they're rusted on like mine, you can either leave them on or cut them off. All right, your next step, if you got your tank off or you're leaving your tank on, take this cap, come off easier with your utility knife, pop that off. Hopefully these look like they're going to come off. And take this off. Oh, look, it's spinning. That's good. Now see if that's spinning like that? This is why. All right, I get to run into every situation on this. This is a tool I forgot to tell you. You might need some vice grips. Oh, I forgot to tell you, I did put a belt on too, so you don't have to see my plumber's crack. That's a good thing, but hopefully this works. Oh, beautiful. So first try that. If that don't work, you might have to cut them off. You'll still have to put your vice grips on and then start using your hacksaw or cutting blade or your grinder with a cutting blade on. Let's hope this works. All right, round 2. I got it loosened up. I'm gonna hook this vice grips on. Oh, I have a dog here now. Now make sure you got your eye protection and your hearing protection on. That's how you do it if you can't get them off. And I put a rag back here so all them sparks didn't go into my wood. Now let me get the other one off. You don't need to watch that. All right, I got my second one off. I was able just to put them vice grips on them threads just real lightly and start turning that. Once that loosened up, I was able to take that right off. So luckily my second one come off real easy. This is why it's nice to have brass. So that's why I bought brass for my second one, or for my new toilet. Alright, the next thing you're going to want to do after you get your bolts all off, you may have some silicone down on your toilet. So it might be easier if you go around and try to cut some of that with your utility knife. Just go around there and score that a little bit. It'll be easier to get this loose. Alright, once you got that scored, if you can try to rock it back and forth, it should break it free. Oh yeah, see? Real easy. Alright, make sure everything's out of your way. And carry it out. Put it on your back deck like I'm going to do, or outside, or in your garage. We got to get this old wax ring off. I'll take that off. Oh, that don't look as bad as I thought. This toilet flange should be above these tiles. And if it's above your tiles, you're sitting good. And then you can put your wax ring on and keep going. But mine is, this is why I got them spacers, but I'm not sure. It doesn't look so pretty. I want to see what happens when I take all these screws out. At least it doesn't seem rotted. This is why I said when you start this project, you might want to make sure the hardware store is open. I think this is still going to work. These little spacers, they have lips here, and that'll go right down over that. So everything goes down in there. And then you'll see my wax ring when I put on has another piece that goes down in there. And then you just take some of that 100% silicone and silicone around here real good. And that should seal that up. There shouldn't be a lot of pressure here. I'm going to go get my shop vac and try to clean this up a little bit. Alright, I got this plastic piece cleaned up and I have all these screws out. And this doesn't look too bad. It's still pretty solid, so I think I'm going to use that. And I'm just going to put one of these spacers on here to get this up a little bit. It'll be up above the tiles a little bit. But you just want to make sure you clean that off. If yours is already above the tiles, you can skip ahead. I'll put here on the video where you can, how far you can skip ahead to. But this ain't as bad as I thought at first. But I got that all cleaned up. Now I'm just going to put a good thick bead of silicone around here. And then, oh, and I gotta get this, you gotta, I don't know how yours are gonna be, but mine seems, my shims, my flange shim is backwards compared to this one. Like that, this brass bolt would go in there and slide this way. Well, here it goes in here and slides that way. So I'm going to put them in and then work them into the spot. Yeah, there we go. Just like that. Now these should be at the 3 and 9 o'clock position. If you can, you should, this rag is also to put down in that hole so you don't get sewer gases up, but mine's at like 12.5 inches, or 12.25 inches. And that one's at 12, so. I'm gonna try to get these as good as I can. All right, they look pretty similar. Put a couple of these screws in. Put that in there for a second. Just trying to clean up some of that silicone that might have sprayed out around there. You don't want anything around here that's going to try to start catching stuff. All right, I got my flange down. I got 4 of them screws in. I got this all good and cleaned up around here. Looks a lot better now. And then I took, since I bought a second set of brass bolts, I have a couple set of extra nuts. So I'm going to put a nut down here and hold that on. That keeps these exactly in place. And the nice thing, and when you do that, make sure you measure from the wall so they're exact same distance from the wall. Now I should be able to drop my toilet right down over that without these wiggling all over the place. So that's another nice thing to get extra bolts. So now, let me put that back in. I can take my scraper and clean up all this silicone. All right, I got this cleaned up some. Not perfect, but my new toilet is a lot bigger than this and a lot taller. So that's another thing. If you look at the top of your toilet, like the top of the box that it comes in, it's going to tell you some of the measurements. So make sure it will fit in the spot that you got. I actually bought an elongated toilet, so it's going to take up a little more space, but some places you ain't going to be able to fit an elongated toilet. So I got this cleaned up pretty good, got my bolts ready. Now I'm going to cut this off and put a new one on. Put your eye protection on, your hearing protection on, and cut yours off if you have one. And then this one here, I'll slide over. It's already got a cut in it. Hoping that'll break off. Like that. There we go. This go right over that. Like that. Oh, beautiful. Does that look better? All right. All right, now my next step is, now you can skip this if you want, but I think it makes it a little easier. Pull that out. I'm just going to sit this down over the bolts and see how everything's sitting. And then I'm going to put some painter's tape on, so when I put my wax ring on there, I will easily be able to go down and go right over them bolts. So just be careful lifting this thing. See, mine rocks a little bit. All right, this is where you're going to want to try to get this thing lined up and straight as you can, so you know where it's got to go. See, mine should be pretty good because I remember I measured these bolts, so they were all both exactly the same from the wall. So now that should be correct, and it's right in the middle, so that's good. Now you can put your level on there and see how level you are. Oh, thank goodness. I am actually real real nice and level enough for me. If you're off level, you're definitely going to need some of them shims. Now I bought some plastic shims, so I'm going to try to, right where it's at is good. I'm going to try to stick a couple plastic shims right in here under the edge before I put my new wax ring in and sit this down on it. I think that sits a lot better just with that one in there. All right, what I'm going to do here, I'm going to mark this. And cut that off a little bit smaller than that mark so I can stick that in there. All right, got that cut off, and I put a little silicone right on the bottom. Just like that, just so that ain't gonna move. I can slide that in there. Might have to clean some of that off. Now that should stay right there. All right, this is what the painter's tape was for. I like to put a little piece right here on the edge and then put another piece here and I mark it. So when I sit this back down, I'll be able to easily get this line back up without trying to look in there on both of the bolts. It's just going to help me a little bit to get that down on there perfect. Now let me pick this up and I'll put my wax ring on. Alright, this, oh, look at that, that come with freaking bolts too, didn't know it. Alright, this is the wax ring that I bought. Which you gotta take this plastic coating off. This is the one that came with my toilet. And see why I said maybe it's good to buy one? Well, you gotta take this off, but here I can see it's already smashed here. So this thing would not have worked at all. So you would have been stuck and had to go back to the store if you didn't watch this video. So let me put this in place. Hopefully I can get this off of here. I'm going to try to take this off without screwing it up too much. The one that came with it was kind of like this, but it has this plastic thing. Now some people would put this up under their toilet before they put it down on, but I've never had good luck with that. So I am going to do like a lot of the other plumbers are going to do anyway, and just put this down over right there. Now that wax ring sticks up pretty high because the thing this is going to go down over, that wax ring has got to go down over this, which sits right flush with your floor, so it should smush into there real good. Should have no leaks. All right. Try not to hurt your back. You can try to lift with your legs if you want to go down over that straight. That's why that tape should help you. There we go. Looks good. Now, it's sitting up a little bit. Now what you're going to do is sit down on it. You don't want to rock this thing back and forth. You just want to slowly press it down on that wax ring. Now, I'm only, I don't know, 160 pounds. Yeah, that's good. Perfect. Perfecto. You can take that tape off. All right, my toilet came with these fancy little things. You might have 2 nuts, 2 metal washers, and 2 plastic washers, which you would probably put your metal one on, then your plastic one on, and then your other nut. I get these fancy little things, so I'm going to put these on. All right, I got this side on. Now, I ended up just taking this off and cutting that off. You didn't need to see all that. I cut some of it already off and I put this on. But make sure you tighten this side up and tighten the other side up a little. Then tighten this side and the other side just a little bit. Don't get all crazy because you don't want to break your toilet. but I had to use these because my toilet come with these, and these weren't going to fit over the other plastic ones that I had. So just read your directions. All right, before I put the tank on, I'm going to put a little bit of silicone caulk around the toilet, just because I think it'll be easier than waiting until that tank's in my way. You don't need that much, so I'm going to go here. Just like that. And then if you get a wet paper towel, wet your finger a little bit, go right along that, clean that up a little more. Unless you're happy with how it looks. Oh, that's better. Now you can do this at the end if you want. All right, now I'm going to put my tank on. After you got them bolts, your bowl all bolted down and you got it caulked down and all cleaned up. My tank all came already all together. You may have to put these bolts on. This is the part you definitely may want to look at your directions if you don't have the exact same toilet I have. And you may only have one hole here. Like I said in the beginning, this is like a super flusher toilet or something. And my bolts are already in place. This part's in place. And then you're going to have a gasket that goes down over this. Make sure that's seated good. And everything in here, I already checked on mine. It all seems to be real good and tight. So I mean, this is just holding water that's just sitting in the tank. And it came with this fancy tool for these nuts. So now before I forget to tell you, I'm going to put these on there and I'm going to try to push down on the tank and slowly tighten each one of these nuts up a little bit. Then you're going to want to take the nuts. You should have 3 nuts. Put them all on. And like I said, you're going to want to tighten these evenly. Tighten one a little and tighten the other one a little. If you have this same toilet like I have, I'm pretty sure they're talking, this should be just barely touching up here. All right. Just a little bit on that one. A little bit on that one. I'll stick my hand in here. A little bit on that one. All right, I think that's pretty good. It's just barely sitting above that. Now, I mean, I tighten them nuts down quite a bit. I don't think I really want them to sit right on there real tight. I'd rather that be able to give just a little bit in case somebody leans up against this. All right, now we're going to connect the water supply line. And like I said, I took that off and they had some tape on them one threads. I don't know why, because there's a little rubber gasket down in there that sits right down over that valve. These don't need to be super tight. I'll put this on hand tight, then I might turn this on or 1/4 to a 1/2 a turn. Oh, I forgot to tell you, I put a little water down here too, so while I'm working on this, the sewer gases are not going to come up through. So just pour some water in there. This one also has a rubber gasket up in it. So you should definitely be able to do this hand tight also. Now, we're just about ready to turn this water on. Take some paper towels. Make sure it's completely dry behind this. I'm going to take some toilet paper Or you could take paper towels and lay it right back here where I know it is completely dry right now. That way when I go to check later, if that toilet paper is wet, that means I gotta maybe just snug some of these nuts up on the tank or just look to see where it's leaking from. Either the tank will be leaking or that new water line you put in will be leaking. Let me tighten this up just a little more. It's already hand tight. That should be good. Now let's turn it on, see what happens. And when you turn this on, you might hear a little air in your line. And we got water. All right, I'm gonna put this toilet seat on. I don't know how yours is, but this is a crazy fancy setup. So if you have this one, you can follow what I'm doing. It comes in with this piece already together. So take that apart, take these two pieces, take the screw out that's already in there, that, and you're gonna want to get this a little wet. Preferably with, oh here, you can just dip it in your thing if you turned it on. Put that plug in that hole, all right? Take your screw, screw it up through the bottom and pull down. Slowly pull down. Real slow because it'll pop right through. There. See, don't tell you that in the directions. Get that a little wet. Stick it in there. Don't drop these pieces in your toilet. This is, and then just pull down slowly. There you go. All right, make sure you have these little pads in. All right, put it on like that. And then tighten it up with a screwdriver. This on. Don't forget to put that on. I thought that looked stupid. Okay, put that on and snap that over there. And when you're gonna, if you're gonna go to clean this, there's two buttons in here you can push. And this comes off. Oh good, it's a soft close. Okay, if you bought this same toilet, the way I just hooked it down was correct. If you got these parts, don't worry about them. That is for, I guess, a bottom mount. I guess if you get a different toilet seat, you can use these. So save these in case you do change your toilet seat. All right, let's check back here. I see no water leaks. Make sure you check that. Maybe even come back and check that in an hour or so. Feel around here. You can feel around here. Feel around here. I don't feel no water unless yours is coming out of the wall. No water. I'm going to check that again in an hour. And then on your toilet, you don't want it to go over this overflow tube. If it does, you can adjust it with this. Okay. I'm going to let mine go stay down a little bit less. And then I still got to adjust this somehow. I got to read the directions on how this works. All right, just give me a second. Oh, just joking. All right. All right, thanks for watching my video. I hope I helped you out a little bit. This toilet I got is definitely a little bit more confusing than most toilets, so if you get an easier toilet, it probably will be a little easier, and hopefully your flange is correct. I hope everything I went over helps you out a little bit. I'm going to try to put some stuff down in the description of some of the things I bought and some of the tools I use too, so if you want to look down in the description and instead of writing everything down. Please give this video a thumbs up, leave me a comment down below, and hit that subscribe button to help support my channel. Thank you very much, God bless, and have a good day.